There we go. Double split Earth's down. You need BKBs now, and the only one who has a BKB is Yuma at this point. Okay, that's 2 ultimates.
King RD, though, pops his BKB. He's going to live. Tombstone in a very forward position. In fact, 2 forward. It is going to get taken down, but Yuma, does he go? Yes, he does. There's going to be the Chrono, and they actually did catch out KJ, but the E-Blade is used to keep him safe. That does mean he takes more damage from the kisses, though, but it won't be enough to actually kill him off. Wolf Team survive it, and now Wolf Team, they might just look to go in. HFN has 2 lives, and he's looking to do some damage. Susin as well. Stun onto Oscar. Cookie's going to push him away, but he still has basically no health here. He is trying to fall back, whereas Seuss is going a little bit too far forward. He needs some backup. There it is. FCR in onto 3. Yuma was able to pop the BKB, so he's not going to get locked down. Then they do take the techies out, but they're losing too much. Oscar has fallen. There's no buyback available on that Centaur. LTH is going to be going down here as well. No. High ground mischance actually does keep him safe, so he's going to heal. But ET, bottom lane of Rax, taken pretty much in its entirety here.
Oh, and look at the arena.
Seuss is just going to go in. They take down Prada. SG really looking like they're on their last legs here. They need to try and force something, but KXY, he's in some serious trouble. They've got to use the cookie to actually push him back towards the fountain. And Seuss is just trying to play keep away. He's getting healed up here on the back line. That's an interesting arena, but they actually got the kill on Yuma before it went down, and there's your GG. With no buyback on the Faceless Void, they just throw in the towel, and Wolf Team are able to tie up the series at 1-1.
Well, a beautifully executed timing lineup, and now we'll have to see what priority is coming into Game 3, but it just works. 30-minute victory, everything just ended up going pretty all right for them. And then I think a few very key misses from SG in the mid-game that just ended up slowing them down so heavily. All it was maybe 2 or 3 chronos where suddenly Yuma isn't able to breach that gap. All he has is a BKB and a Maelstrom. And that's also where I think both Oscar and KXY really dropped the ball here. Oscar never had a blink dagger in this game. Thought it was going to be unnecessary. Ended up turning Yuma into the only playmaker. And maybe if KXY is on Void Spirit or Tiny or one of his own initiators, then it feels all right. But you just jip the rest of your lineup. And nobody can make plays. And then suddenly you're looking at KXY and he's like, oh yeah, I got a 14-minute Midas. I'm Queen of Pain. Well, great. You're just not doing any damage anymore. So when we end up in this situation where we really only have one true core, and even though Wolf Team don't have the prettiest mid game, they don't get the earliest Aegis, they even lose HFN around the 21-minute mark, but because they have the Leshrac as strong as he is, he gets to pick up the slack, and you never see that from SG. There was never a moment where Yuma was like, oh, KXY, can you win this team fight without me? No. You lose one core, suddenly you don't have anything left to give, and then the game just gets impossible for you. And now, I think coming into Game 3, SG, you got to be careful, because this was a very different strategy from Wolf Team, but I think that's also where it might be time to ban out that techies. FCR got away with it this time around.
Yeah, 6-4 and 15, still pretty impressive. Damage numbers, 16.5k, still pretty damn respectable on that front. And I think the thing for SG, we talked about it when we were coming out of the drafting phase, ET. We mentioned Wolf Team, they're going to try and play faster. They're going to try to play in between your cooldowns. And SG went for the double Midas build thinking if this game goes late, then we have the advantage, which they would have. But they assumed that it would go late. And that double Midas play ends up looking a little bit foolish because Wolf Team built a lineup that was supposed to do the opposite of that, right? To push the tempo, to get your objectives early, and to apply that pressure. So it felt like SG really just kind of played directly into their opponent's hands.
Yeah, and the first time that they don't go for the 4 Protect one, they go for maybe a more classic draft. Hey, it just works. It looks good. The TA Leshrac, I mean, it's a classic, but it'll do you good. And now, again, we'll have to see, because if there is that respectment of the techies, that means that one of the big 3 is going to get through. It's either going to be a Visage, a Beastmaster, or an Enigma, and then somebody's going to be playing unfair. But again, we'll have to see. Pick priority is going to matter a lot here, but really, I think it's anybody's game coming into that third game.
Absolutely. One last game for a shot at 5-4 staff in the grand final. So we shall see. Does Wolf Team now harness this momentum, or can SG sort of pull that Game 1 level of execution back for themselves to take it? But we'll see. It's going to matter who sort of gets what on priority, so we're a coin flip away from figuring out how this one's going to look. So stick around, folks. We're going to be back with that Game 3 draft in just a few minutes.
shooting me with words, but I won't let them bruise. Even though it hurts, I won't show it to you. 'Cause it will ricochet, I won't let it bite. I will look at you and tell you that I'm alright. Like a ricochet, it will come back to you. Let me tell you, not because my eyes are open, your words will keep bouncing away. And even if you're trying to hurt me, my skin's getting thicker each day. I don't know how you fall asleep at night, knowing that your words are hurtful, it's just not right. No, because my eyes are open, your words will keep bouncing away. Like a ricochet, like a ricochet, like a ricochet, like a ricochet. I used to let it in, all the things you said. You try to turn me into somebody else, but it will ricochet, I won't let it bite. I will look at you and tell you that I'm alright. Like a ricochet, it will come back to you. Let me tell you, not because my eyes are open, your words
Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome back once again to the BTS Pro Series 12. We are getting ready now for the third and final game here in our lower bracket final. It is Game 3 between Wolf Team and SG Esports. These two squads split the opening matches of this series, so now it's down to just one game to determine who finishes in third place and who gets a chance to take on 5-Rat 4 staff in our grand final later today. So we are getting right into the thick of it here, ET, and we can see from the bans, SG taking away some FCR heroes there with the Visage and the Techies, but even with the Techies gone, Wolf Team still opt to open up with the Mars pick.
Yeah, and because they have first pick and they go for it, well, something gets through, and it will be the Primal Beast. But because Wolf Team have already taken their offlaner here, don't think there is really any possibility now for them to go for the Beastmaster. So funnily enough, even though one of those Wraith Pack, Vladimir building offlaners remains in the pool, it looks like we're going into another brawl here, where I guess this is just what both teams have decided, where I guess we have very similar strategies. We can and will play for Protect 1, where our 4-man is just going to run around and cause chaos. But that's where Wolf Team kind of cracked their own code here. And honestly, now what I want to see, no more 4 Protect 1. No more wait for Yuma. No more wait for HFN. HFN getting involved looked so good in the previous game. I would absolutely love to see some more timing-based, just actual 5-on-5 clash. That's the type of Dota you want to see. And we've already gotten over the first hurdle. Don't have to worry about creeps so far in this game. This is just going to be a kill fest. We can see that reflected in the carries as well. Well, we've got a hell of a game 3 in front of us.
And then Wolf Team, the very impressive and smart ban there, they take the Morphling away because that has been the kind of reaction from SG in this playoff bracket. They've had a couple of series go to 3. When it gets to that point, once they lose a game in a series, they fall back on the Yuma Morphling, right? They've picked it up, I think, just about every time where they've been in a situation where they've lost a game, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's that comfort play for them that will now no longer be available. But on the flip side of things, that is a ban on the HFN Dusa, so said we were going to maybe see them on some heroes that are going to get active a little bit earlier on. Now it feels more and more like they're going to be forced into that scenario.
No, and that's where SG, they did win the luck of the draw. They got the coin flip, they got last pick, so they get to play for maybe a few more of those direct counters. But I also think, yeah, getting active, looking good. I feel like this is, again, a situation where maybe HFN getting his Jug would feel pretty nice here. Not only because it kind of feels like a deny pick against the Mars Snapfire, but it also is probably going to be your answer for Primal Beast. And that's where Wolf Team, they do have to set HFN up pretty nicely here. You can't afford to just give this Primal Beast a free lane. Shutting him out would look pretty nice. Last time around, they ended up laning versus the Primal Beast. Terrorblade ended up looking great. HFN looked like he was just able to almost single-handedly zone out those heroes. I think HFN TP is going to be the hero that we're going to look at probably the most for him coming into that second phase of picks. But that's also where back-to-back picks, it never feels nice. But I think if they can set up for it, then maybe that's where this draft ends up going. And it's also a position where I don't think there's any way SG just immediately slam their carry into this next pick. It just doesn't make sense drafting wise. It's probably where they have to lead with their 4 position, but that means that I think HFN is going to get his pick of his carry.
Yeah, I mean, they could take maybe this final ban on the SG side to try and get something out of the pool, but it is kind of interesting you see them switch it up and actually go for the ban on the Leshrac, because they didn't seem to have too much of an answer for it the last time around. Seuss played well, and well in terms of doing what you wanted the Leshrac for. He did not bully KXY out of lane. He didn't kill him off too many times. It was just once or twice with some rotations, but that didn't matter. KXY went for the Midas build, whereas the Leshrac went for killing all of your towers in 15 minutes, and that's something SG can't really afford to do here, because if we are leaning towards that earlier fighting ET, that sort of brawling style, if you lose those fights, you can't afford to then lose all your objectives as well.
Yeah, and that's also where, even though I feel like at this stage, neither carry can afford to just be that hard farmer, well, you can kind of afford for him to be a fighter, but only a fighter when he's strong. It's where I think, again, TB is kind of the exception to the rule here, where well, if you have to take a minute and a half and just sit on the sidelines, then you can kind of do so just because you will eventually show up for the team fight. But that's where if one carry decides to go for that outlet, I feel like the other almost has to go for your constant fight. It's where I think very starkly here, we could very easily see, I think one team go for Terrorblade and the other team go for PL, and then we end up in one of those crazy super long team fight situations. And I do like that ban.
Yeah.
Getting the Omni Knight out of there. Just the slight buff up where if you don't have that follow up slow, then maybe he just walks away from you. There is still a CM kind of kicking around in the back, even though in the past few days here of BTS Pro Series, CM's gotten a lot less popular, funnily enough. I think large part is because a lot of those NA squads are gone, and I like CM. Maybe a little bit more than they should have, but I think now probably going to see them steer away. And yeah, it didn't get banned out, so they go for the Sooth's puck. But now, does Wolf Team just pick up Void Spirit is the real question.
Oh, that is, yeah, a pretty safe option for them at this point. Still sitting there in the pool. And they do have the back-to-back picks, so it doesn't really matter if you're taking it now.
What I would love immediately, Scarth Mage Void Spirit. Perfect response to the puck. You have the silence. You have somebody that can actually rotate mid, kill you. You're still putting KG on the Snapfire, this KG Snapfire that we know and love and have hyped up so much in the tournament. Maybe separate it. But no, they go for Ember Spirit instead. And okay, sure, you still have maybe a little bit of lockdown. Searing Chains is not as good versus the puck, just because anytime you chains her, you just press this phase shift and then she's still fine. But again, very different. And normally when you see this Ember Spirit setup, there's something else that it's setting up for. And now, is it just for Spear? Is it just for Cookie? That doesn't make too much sense, but they do get the HFN Terrorblade. So they're kind of pulling me apart here because there's some things I really do like about this second phase of picks for Wolf Team and some things I don't, but we'll have to see because this Ember Spirit, definitely not the direction I expected.
And now it does feel a little bit funky because if this is going to be the KJ Snap, then you're looking at taking your other support with your final pick, although maybe they don't care. They're thinking, hey, we don't have overall last pick anyway, so swinging our support pick into that spot is going to be just fine. But there's something in the back of my mind, ET. We have seen FCR play a lot of stuff that we weren't entirely expecting. Is he a position 4 Ember Spirit player? Is that a possibility here?
No, and they put the snap 3, and then they put the Mars. Nah, I don't think so. FCR has been looking great, but even though he's been a standout player, he's definitely a conventional player. He doesn't like to go in his own direction. He's good at the meta, I think, is the safe way to put it. But no, that's where there is still flexibility, though. Again, I still think Skyreth Mage is a great pick right now. I think that would be one of your big answers. And they picked Dark Willow. Okay. We've seen this Dark Willow picked up, honestly, a pretty decent amount in the latter half of the tournament in combination and in counter to the Mars, but it still feels like that hero can be a pretty big miss, though, and isn't your direct follow-up or stun with the Primal Beast, so maybe a little bit more difficult to execute, but it still is, I think, one of the more valuable 4 positions you can still go for. And again, every time I see this hero picked up, I still think of the one tournament in the best of 5 where OG just picked it 3 times in a row, and it looked great then and there, but aside from that showing, really hasn't been the biggest priority for a lot of these teams. And we'll have to see, because definitely still have my question marks when it comes to that hero. And your Shadow Realm TPs might not be the most successful in this game. Mars Snapfire, pretty good at canceling those out. But Oracle ban? Okay.
Huh.
Interesting. Yeah, really just not wanting KG to be on any more saves in this game for the Terrorblade.
Okay. I mean, the FCR could just take the snap, play at 4, and that frees up a position 5 spot for the Wolf Team side. So yeah, it's understandable, and it's a lot of respect now being shown to KJ, which is kind of remarkable because every member of Wolf Team here has taken their turn being sort of the big bad, right? Obviously, HFN is there all the time, but they've banned out Zeus. We've seen focus on FCR's pool. And of course, for the middle, or the offlane rather, regardless of who's been playing it between King RD, FCR, and even the 1 or 2 times Tava was there, they have all been focused, but we have never seen anyone care quite as much about KJ up until this series.
Yeah, and well, of course, they can always swing things around. I still think the Scarth Mage looks pretty good, but another pick that's kind of getting me excited a little bit is, it looks pretty great. Silencer looks pretty good so far. I feel like that could be an answer for KJ to be that reactive kind of playmaker 5 position. Not the most save and not the immediate save that maybe some of these direct healers would be for your Terrorblade, but I feel like that would break a team fight up pretty nicely. And hey, if Puck has to buy a Yule Scepter, sets himself up into the air, all it takes is one misstep, and then Global could be your answer. It's one of those directions I think they do have to go, though. I think either they pick something to, again, shut out the puck, silencer for KJ would look pretty good, or they need to switch KJ into the Snapfire, and then they need to get more lockdown, because Ember Spirit Terrorblade did not so directly answer the puck. And they banned Dazzle, another
Okay.
hero that, of course, KJ had played previously and looked pretty decent on as well, but again, that wouldn't have solved your puck problem. So I think really just being more considerate about what this Terrorblade is going to be able to do in combination, and certainly would have made the Primal Beast lane pretty miserable. And let's see. No, go
Hey.
for the Skyreth Mage. There's that swap up. Yeah, just makes sense. Feels really good. Has been that answer. Again, we talked about it early on in the tournament, the pseudo answer to Puck, where before it was Lion. Well, Skyreth Mage is a little bit more flexible, and hey, Silence does the same job, so sure, it's going to feel great for them.
Yeah, and I do like how you say pseudo answer, because at the end of the day, sometimes even with the Skywrath, you're just kind of crossing your fingers and praying that the puck doesn't just blow you up first. But if that doesn't happen, yeah, you've got damage, you've got lockdown, you've got quite a bit to work with. But it's going to come down to how well does the Skywrath position himself here. But now ET looking at the SG side, they are in need of a Yuma hero. You want someone who's going to maybe be able to fight with the rest of this squad, but then there's a TB on the other side. Okay, it's going to be the PL.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I called it. I don't know why I felt it, but PL versus TB in game 3 elimination, why not? Just makes sense. Just feels like these players were going to play it. HFN got his TB versus Primal Beast. We'll see if maybe he runs into a few more troubles than he did versus Italiano Gangster, but everybody is on their signature hero right now, and I do have some concerns, but at the same time, I'm just excited. You did end up picking PL into Ember Spirit, a matchup that can sometimes feel a little bit more difficult and a struggle to play against, but I think that's where really both sides are just going to be gunning for it. And we keep that balance. Something, though, that is a little bit concerning for SG, in the same concern that I brought up before, is that Yuma's not going to really show up to too many of these fights. He's going to wait. He's going to bide his time. It's more of that 4 protect 1 where both the puck and the Primal Beast are going to be so important to buy and make space for you, where HFN is going to show up just a little bit more for his team, just out of virtue of using the meta aggressively, getting some plays made with your Terrorblade. So maybe an opportunity for Wolf Team to just bring their full 5 and then brute force out situations that SG do not, where Yuma is going to be farming, where you have, I think, a little bit less of a margin for error for SG, and the cores that aren't PL have to be really solid out of those lanes. Otherwise, they don't have very much time for their own recovery. It's where if they start to fall apart, if this Terrorblades ends up pitching another shutout like you did versus Dogchamp, well, then you're not going to have enough time for this PL, and that's where the lineup starts to fall apart a little bit more.
Mm-hmm. They need to just stand up in those fights, or, well, I was going to say maybe just try to avoid them, but their lineup really isn't built for that, right? If they're avoiding fights, then what else are they really doing? Because they don't push particularly well. Kind of feels like they do have to take the engagements, but if it is going to be consistently 4v5 like you're saying, the execution really can't be off, otherwise they're just going to fall too far behind.
Yeah, no, it is a very tough line to toe, but that's where we gotta see, and we gotta see a lot from SG here, I don't know many other teams that would be this confident in picking a PL against elimination, but that's where it might be time for Yuma to kind of test his mettle here on one of his best heroes, but Wolf Team ain't gonna give you it for free. This feels like a very close series.
Game 3 of our lower bracket final here, unfortunately, does begin with a pause, so not going to be getting into the action just yet, but one game to decide whether you're top 3 or top 2 here. Both sides have taken some kind of interesting positions, and I do like how you said earlier on, for a lot of these players, they are playing on some signature heroes, but both of these teams in the past have had that issue where they've fallen back on comfort and haven't always gotten the result that they wanted, right? I mean, hell, we saw the HFN Dusa lose in the very first match of this series. And on the other side, SG are here in this lower bracket because the Yuma Morphling kind of ran into trouble against 5-Rat. So still comfortable, but not relying exclusively on option 1.
Yeah. And I think that's where both teams just identified that, hey, if we ban out both of our carries' best heroes, then maybe we end up in that uncomfortable situation where we feel like we might have a leg up, but in actuality, it's more so even, and we just both play for our own game instead. It's where there really shouldn't be a shutout game. It's where we are going to get probably towards that 35-minute mark, and then we'll have a definitive team fight that ends up being the game or the loss. And you just hope that you're that team that ends up winning the battle here as, well, D-Ward goes through. Now they're feverishly killing this ward, but does it time it out? Nope. Deny goes through. Okay. There's a little bit of gold there for Prada, but, you know, hey, what can you do? And now we have no observer wards except for in the mid lane and scouting up top here.
Yeah, it's a little bit strange. 1 obs ward down, 2 sentries deployed. Both sides setting up for a potential fight on this rune, so it's going to get a little bit interesting here. With this much firepower, I don't know, both sides could look for something. They do have the brambles, so there's going to be the move in. Prada is taking a lot of damage, though, and he might just have to back off of this. Pops a Fairy Fire, holds his stick charges, however. They're going to try and lock down King RD here. They hit him up with the spear. Or, excuse me, I'm sorry. It's a lance, not a spear, ET. Prada doesn't care about the distinction because he's fighting for his life. He's not going to be able to make it out, though. First blood to KJ. He almost certainly will die immediately afterwards as Yuma clears him up, but they get first blood.
Yeah, and now Yuma's going to get pestered by King RD all the way back to the tower. With so much mana spent from Yuma.
Yeah.
Not the most fun way for your PL to start his lane, but we'll be fine. He's got a stick as well, so eventually he'll be able to make that difference happen. But another lane where King RD is just going to be annoyed because there is another Prada Undying chasing him around on his heels.
At least he's got FCR here to try and do some harassment of his own. As speaking of harassment, what is going on here? Oscar is in the trees. HFN actually used a little bit of his meta time to try and go hit him up, which is part of the reason why Oscar takes that damage in the first place. But things get a little bit dicey, right? Because if you're hitting him with meta, Uproar is going to be getting some stacks pretty damn quickly. HFN has to be a little bit cautious in terms of that trade-off, but at least this first time around, not really going to be any sort of punish play. The TB just gets a little damage for free.
Yeah, and then the creep pull happens, and then, oh, you're just being annoying right now. And you hit level 2. Oscar doesn't have trample. He's been missing a lot of that XP. And sure, you've got 3 creeps in the river here. You do have to be a little bit cautious, but Oscar just has to take him, and now the lane is reset in the perfect position for the Terrorblade.
Yep. That TB, take a look at him in that first wave. He was very focused on the denies with his Metamorphosis as well. He's at 5 and 5 here, so Oscar is not really going to get anything without having to fight forward, and now he's just going to have to fight for his life. Cookie Stun comes in. Rambles defensively, though, going to create enough of a maze here where they can't keep chasing, but we're like 3 or 4 creep waves in, and Oscar has gotten half of one, and that had to be pulled into the river for him as FCR able to make a move onto Prada there. King RD dies to the neutral creeps, so I mean, technically he dies, but not really going to give up any gold. Over on the other side, though, Oscar does get run down. KJ will find him. He's taking some damage from LTH here, but he's got some stick charges and a Fairy Fire. I think he's going to live.
No, he ends up being fine in KJ Snapfire, man. It just wins your lane for you, and Oscar's falling into the same troubles that we saw Taliano fall into. This lane just seems to be quite the answer to the Primal Beast. One of those weirder answers as well. Hasn't been as easy to call for, and now LTH eating so much damage. I mean, KJ just hits you over and over and over again. Snapfire is just so good at making those early trades happen. And Oscar is still level 1.
Oh.
He's still fighting for it. He'll finally get trampled now, but God, this is one of the later timings we've seen in the tournament for Primal Beast.
And by the time he hits 2, HFN is 1 creep away from 3, so well, it is an issue because we always talk about the strength that Primal Beast has at every level. That sort of level 4 mark is the big one with the onslaught coming into play, but if by the time you reach that point, your TB is at 5 going on 6, then you're not really going to be able to do a whole lot. As Oscar does get in for the trample, it's a nice bit of damage, but HFN's turning around with the meta. Do they have a cookie play? Technically they do, they're just not really close enough to actually go for it, so... HFN, he's pushing his way forward. They really do want this setup. They're going to go for it. There's going to be the stun. Scatter Blast in as well. Oscar pops the Uproar. Will it be enough to keep him alive? It looks like he's going to be okay, but he's getting bullied, and now LTH,
Ooh.
yeah, you got to get out of here.
No, very annoying, but important that none of these creeps are actually getting low enough to be denied, and maybe you lose, yeah, LTH, but this is also a massive wave forced under, and the meta will tick out as soon as it goes under the tower, but these might be too many creeps as well. So Oscar, even though he's got the creeps right where he wants them, it's going to be a ton of XP. Got to be so careful, but that's where the Willow TPing back in probably should be enough to scare him off, and yeah, will be the call for retreat. But Yuma,
Tom?
well, get run down.
Try to do a little dancing in the tree line, but the tree line's exactly where the Mars wants you, so... Okay. Some pressure onto the opposing carry. Not a bad play here for Wolf Team, especially considering the fact that the TB is kind of bullying his lane opponent on the other side of the map, right? If your TB is just free farming and Yuma has to try to avoid a death, and that time he wasn't, then there is going to be a bit of a discrepancy forming between the two.
No, for sure. Of course, TB definitely is a stronger laner, but it's where, depending on how fast you get your level 6, Yuma might really start to be limited in his options. And then, of course, haven't even spoken about the mid lane, but it's a race to 6 there as well. And it's one that I think really neither side is going to win. I think they're about to hit level 6 just on the same creep wave, so should not be able to get too aggressive on each other. And without supports, of course, there shouldn't be any kill situation going on there.
XY does a nice job denying a couple on that one, but as you say, they should still be hitting 6 at just about the same time. But, well, who makes a move? If the supports aren't going to come to them, maybe they look to rotate elsewhere themselves, but gonna see what's going on with 6-minute runes first. Zeus, TP's back, has the Remnant down. Betting on bottom, let's see if he's correct. Okay, now he's just gonna bet on both. That's kind of cheating, but you're an Ember Spirit, you're kind of allowed to do it. Actually, he doesn't get it at all. LTH kind of sneaks in there to snipe it out. He is almost certainly going to die for this, though. Or maybe not. Silence comes in. No sleight of fist play as he's dream coiled as well. He tries for it anyway, but by that point it's too late. So, okay. Nice plays there from the Willow. Of course, if the Willow's here, then they know Oscar's alone, but he's so far back, I don't really think they have a play to make onto him.
Yeah, and it does mean that the Primal Beast will continue to suffer. And actually, getting a little bit aggressive, but yeah, that's your punish, and your Onslaught just got canceled. And now your Primal Beast is not going to be able to walk back to lane, and this creep wave will stay stagnated so far away from his tower.
Just, I don't know, you know, we were about to give him credit. Oh, you know, he doesn't have his support. He's going to play cautious. He's going to be patient. You know, he won't get suckered into any sort of bait play. And then that's exactly what happens. And okay, sure, right? If you get the entire duration of trample onto KJ there, maybe you have the damage to kill him, but he knows the TB's still in the lane, and you have to assume he's going to come over to help, and now Oscar goes back in for the exact same play. There's still a cookie here, so he actually needs the backup from LTH, but the Willow is here this time, and they're going to be able to get themselves out of that.
Yeah, meta will pop as well, so you know, don't want to be much more aggressive bottom, but that's where top lane, again, with the wave so far up, a lot more damage actually traded out onto the Mars this time around, but they still find their kill.
Getting away from the illusions should be fine. Everyone walks away, and they're good in that lane. But over on the other side, okay, Oscar finally gets his revenge. Had to set up with the Bramble Maze first, but they do get it. Man, Oscar, I mean, he was just really gunning for that one the whole way through, but at this point, the TB is still in a good position. So it is a setback. It's a kill that SG very much wanted and kind of needed too, but it feels like it's a little too late to shut this TB down. If you really are putting pressure on him in this bottom lane, he can just kind of maybe fall back into the jungle at this point. Instead, they are looking for a little bit of engagement here as FCR rotated mid. They get the kill onto Prada, but Oscar is trying to trade something out bot. He is going to take KJ out. I don't think HFN wants to fight anymore without his meta, so they're going to be clear there. But over in the middle lane, the fight continued after they had lost their Undying. Yuma and KXY just kept on pushing forward, and well, Zeus ran out of mana to jump away. He had the remnants, he just wasn't going to be able to get out.
Yeah, and a fantastic TP from Yuma. Just knowing that with the coil, I'm the only one that can really show up here. The Ember Spirits made a mistake by going a little bit too far forward, and well, he says that it's my time to shine, and then just walks back top. Sure, giving a little bit of soul XP and time to King RD, but you're level 7 on PL. You can afford to stop showing up in the lane now. You can actually just jungle relatively quickly. Got max level Phantom Rush as well. No, just great stuff from him, and this is where the game is really going to start to level out.
Yuma working his way towards the Midas here as KJ gets the sentry killed off there, but now he needs some backup. But here it is. Zeus is coming in. They've got the silence down onto the Undying. They're going to hit him with the cookie stun as well. Fairy Fire, though, keeping him alive. Not long enough, though. Zeus still finds the kill, and Yuma... Well, Yuma decides, I don't really want to be involved with that one. He is starting to get close to that Midas again, so... He just kind of backs it off, has to sacrifice his teammate, but... Now KJ's coming looking for him, and this is where things get a little more concerning. He's going to doppel onto the low ground, but he's getting pushed out of this jungle a bit.
There is a coil, though.
They would love to catch the Ember Spirit, but it looks like for now it's just going to be KJ that they go for. Curse Crown stuns, and Yuma actually gets the kill there. So your PL walks away from the first fight, kind of forced into the second one, but he is going to get some extra gold, and that should be the Midas just about done.
No, and a very good timing for him. Rune spawns. Oh, dodges the coil. Really sick stuff, but now that there is a tome on the deck here, that's where both the Scarith Mage and the Snapfire are now actually going to be able to play their heroes. It's where I think that timing for them has been so much more important than on the SG side, and it's going to be time for them to really start to make these moves. Haven't seen a Coliseum either, and I feel like top, yeah, looks like a pretty free play, looks like a pretty dead product. There is a beast coming, though, trying to find some revenge here, and FCR, no silence, should probably get taken down,
Doesn't
but...
trample yet. Trying for the Pulverize. XY's coming in as well, but
ugly,
yeah,
though.
Zeus is here too. This is, I don't know if this is a fight that you want. The silence gonna go onto the puck. The Mortimer Kisses are coming in. They're just gonna try and actually kill him off, and they get him. KXY will fall. Oscar is in trouble on the back line. Zeus with the haste rune is just gonna chase him to the ends of the earth. They do find that kill. Now they turn their attention onto LTH. They pick him off too, and all you got out of that was one kill onto the Skywrath Mage here for SG, and I don't know. Oscar, if he had more mana, if he had Trample when he TP'd instead of TPing it with it on like a 5-second cooldown, I think that looks a lot better. The timing's just kind of off.
Yeah, and then you also wonder, you know, what's Prada up to? Why couldn't he show up into the fight? He was just spread out a little bit too thin. He was just getting some ward going, and okay, revenge, immediate revenge. So at least they get the kill onto the Mars, but still feel like you're going to be kicking yourselves a little bit. And then you ask the tough questions. Whose 4-man is better while we wait for these carries to finish off those first set of items? And then who's going to be more effective? Those are really the tough questions that you have to ask yourself to actually get ahead here in the early game. But now KXY still up top, still trying to defend. Got to be so cautious of FCR though, and with all these trees taken down, not like the Scarith Mage is the sneakiest player in the world.
Yeah. King RD though, TP's up here. Getting a little bottle refill for Zeus and looking to maybe catch somebody in that arena of blood, but KXY says it's not gonna be me. I'm getting the hell out of here. You can have the tower if you're gonna bring 4 heroes up here to go for it. Simply falls back. Did finish off his Witchblade though, so damage-wise, the puck is a little bit more impressive, and while all this was going down, Yuma just pushed out the tower down bot, so at this point, Wolf Team are just fighting for this tower in order to make it an even trade-off.
Yeah, and, well, the Ember is kind of playing around a little bit. He does have a remnant, so we'll rejoin the squad, but that's where you look at items like the Blink Dagger for King RD. Only about 1,500 away, and oh, that might not be the smoke, though. And now leading on to KXY, get the silence. They might get it, and yep, great kill onto the puck.
Well, just as simple as that, right? Some Searing Chains magic comes through and buys them enough time. They get the silence, they get the kill. They're starting to take control of this jungle. They need to get this sword out of here. There is a sentry up on KJ at the moment, but he's sentryed here on the eye spot, so he kind of thinks maybe the vision's already been cleared out, but ET, outside of this one ward, there is so much more vision in the north side jungle for Wolf Team than for SG themselves.
Yeah, and Vision, it's honestly pretty split here, and that ward might actually just dispel anything but kicks. Why?
Wow.
You're a madman. And Oscar, well, he's got cold feet. He does not want to make that jump anymore, and now I think you're undying. Doesn't even have to arena, but now, well, you're going to put it down. Well, you get it off in time, but kisses are coming through.
Okay. Terrorize was there. Pulverize comes in after. Prada still falls, but they'll trade him for King RD. And Oscar actually doesn't go down. He's still alive. Yuma's starting to get involved. They're going to push onto FCR. Never mind. Yuma decides, let's pump the brakes there on that aggression. So, backs away. Soos, though, that's a very forward jump. He should be able to get away from the Curse Crown, though. Yeah. Pretty simple dodge for him with that slow countdown, but that's a little bit of a weird one. They get the kill onto King RD. That's going to get you some money, but we can't forget, ET, that fight starts with the crazy TP in from KXY that he got punished for.
Yeah, and if that arena comes down a little bit sooner, of course, then the Primal Beast can't get into it, then a team fight looks a whole lot better. So, some mistakes from Wolf Team, but nothing that's really going to break the bank just yet. But Diffusal, done.
Okay.
Yuma wants to show up. This is his item timing. This used to have a remnant out. He doesn't. I think he's just going to die. And yeah, punishment made underneath that tier 1, just not staying focused and not having your abilities.
They saw HFN.
Yeah.
Dream Coil's there. Silence follows. Long TP for Yuma, but he can get into range for Phantom Rush. Everything's going to be fine. Here comes Oscar, though. Going to push in. That leads directly into a Sunder, but they've still got the numbers, and they'll still find the kill.
No, and that's that mana burn aspect where you take too long of a team fight. PL starts to eat away at you. Again, just nice punishes, and this ward really paying dividends off. Very unfortunate that the Sentry ended up not missing it, because that's what ends up killing the Terrorblade, but we're not done. Everybody is dying. Everybody's feeding. Everybody getting punished by these high ground wards now in the nighttime, and even though they just fed here in mid, well, they waited a second. Now they have the kisses. Now they have the arena. Have a Blink Dagger coming out of the Mars as well. But we'll see how they defend this mid tower, because SG, they don't want to give this up, but
He doesn't
also
have the blink
walking
yet,
in.
though. Well, who needs the blink if he's going to come to you, I guess? Sure, yeah, Oscar's just straight up gone, and the reinforcements couldn't get into the arena. Now they're going to try to make some sort of play. FCR, the primary target, but the Cookie's able to get him away, and now with Zeus coming in, Yuma, you got to be kind of careful here. He's already lost a lot of health. That spear doesn't actually connect onto a tree, but it does drop him low enough where he can't be involved. The Kisses, though, trying to snipe him out. Do they get the hit? They get one. I don't think it's going to be enough. Second one can't connect.
Oh,
And
it's
now,
so close, but-
KXY, that's a bit of a problem. He's rooted up, but with FCR dead, there's no silence, but there is a spear. Excuse me, is a spear from King RD, connects for the stun and the kill. And Wolf Team, all right, they take that fight, and eventually the Blink Dagger gets delivered for King RD to finish the job, but that's just so strange from Oscar, right? He goes in, he's on the low ground, his teammates aren't actually close enough to back him up, and it's just kind of a overly aggressive play.
And I think the important thing to note is you did just lose the Dark Bull before he walks in, so it ends up feeling very disconnected, but okay, a nice remnant out. They don't get the kill in the Ember Spirit bottom, but that is going to be the difference between these two teams. Wolf Team with their spells versus Wolf Team without their spells are two entirely different beasts. It's where now it's time for SG's revenge if they can actually connect, but the spells are coming back off cooldown. KXY, if he gets speared, he's going to get let up by the silence, but no, doesn't connect fast enough. KXY just able to have that intuition, knowing that his death is nigh, but again, we're in that 4v4 situation where gotta be so careful here, and they actually decide to smoke, so trying to abuse the Aether Lens on that Skywrath Mage as well as his Observer Ward to try and get a kill in the night here, and they do see Yuma, but they don't know which one's real. They see the one walking towards the Ancients, though. Do they get the connection? That's the real question here. They try.
There's a
and
spear. They got it. They get the silence. Yuma is straight dead.
Very nice play. Very quick as well. And now Prada. Well, you still have Arena. That was a cheap kill on the PL and Prada. I mean, the spear might not connect, but I don't even think they need it. It's just too simple.
He already gets the kill, and hey, they've maybe got some eyes on LTH here. That feels maybe a little bit too far, unless LTH walks up the ramp, but they got what they wanted. They find the big kill onto Yuma. They shut him down. HFN, meanwhile, is still just a happy farming boy. Got the Manta queued up, or not queued up, finished, excuse me, as LTH does walk up the ramp and does get killed. Oscar, I don't I don't know here. FCR might fall, but he's still in the middle of this fight. KXY, though, is coming in to try and help out. They are going to be able to finish him. They had to use the Pulverize for that. That feels a little bit rough, but they needed a kill. They got a kill. But they're looking for a little bit more. That Spear, though, is going to shut that down right away, but the Dream Coil is still going to connect. KXY trying to push forward. Cookie getting King RD away. They get the slow from the scatter. HFN wondering, should I go in? He's going to try and make a move. He's going to drop down the reflection, and Oscar is going to get taken down. And Yuma, meanwhile, gets speared back into the Roche pit. So, well, first kill onto FCR, cool, nice, perfectly fine. You take the trade-off all as well, but then you push for a little bit too much afterwards, and Oscar gets taken down. There's just an uncomfortable amount of zombies in the pit right now, ET, but I don't really think they can take it anyway.
Yeah, no. There's just 0%. Yeah. It's not going to happen. But meta was used. A meta that I don't think HFN minds too much. Is just going to make him a little bit stronger when it comes to farming out his Ancients. But HFN's looking for an Eagle Song. He's looking for a Butterfly. He wants it really early in this game. Just another thing to, of course, force Yuma down the itemization rabbit hole where you don't want to have to buy the MKB, but it's where you'd much rather like to get a Bloodthorn instead, but just doesn't work out in your item queue. And Yuma, interestingly enough, is also not opting to finish up the Manta style, which is a choice because, of course, versus Reflection, you want as many Dispels as possible, even versus the Ancient Seal. It's where you are spreading yourself out a little bit thin just to be a little bit tankier. In HFN, he did push towards the Roshan pit, maybe just to see if he could clean up his, or clean up the tombstone himself, but that will end up not working out. And again, Yuma, well, don't know if this is going to work out. Aren't able to clear through the illusions fast enough, so they can't find the real target for the silence, so that smoke ends up being a whiff.
It's a whiff in terms of the kill, but I will still say you pushed Yuma out of his triangle. He is farming the wave itself, but if you slow up his farm a little bit, HFN in comparison is starting to expand on this early lead, so obviously the kill is the primary objective, right? But even if you don't get it, if you slow him down and make HFN that much stronger compared to his opponents, that could end up mattering. As hanging out mid a little bit there, but there's not much of a play to be made here. Do they have a smoke or anything? Not really. They're just kind of hanging out.
No, they are, and it's also where top lane, HFN, he's got a Snapfire with him, but they are very set up here from SG, but looks like they decide the kill is a little bit too difficult, and then everybody decides to reset, but the Ember Spirit's ready for a battle. He has a full BKB. He's ready to invalidate the puck here. KXY, mid lane, has a Blink Dagger. Much more difficult to kill because you have to do the damage and hit the silence now, but where nobody really has enough lockdown to make a consistent jump, so instead, we have this waiting game play out in front of us, and it's also where maybe with the Butterfly, HFN can actually look to push into the pit, but until then, neither carry can force the other to run to that Roche pit. It's why they have to look for the kills instead.
Oh. Comes a bit of a push. Looking for someone to defend this tier 2 tower. They're pinging out the tree line there. I think maybe they got a glimpse of Oscar or just suspected that he was there, but the Primal Beast has fallen back. That does mean, however, they are surrendering this tower. Tier 2 is going to get taken. Zeus, meanwhile, is TPing down bot just to clear out the creep wave and dropped the Remnant before he went. So if there's a maneuver towards his teammates, he can rejoin them fairly quickly. As SG, this sure as hell looks like a maneuver. 4-man smoke play. What do they find?
Ooh.
They're going to break onto KJ. They get the silence onto him. The Dream Coil hits too. The arena goes down, but the spear misses. This fight is looking a little bit awkward already as KJ's trying to fall back. He's going to be okay, though. Meanwhile, HFN just able to do the damage. KXY gets locked down, taken out. Zeus now comes in. There's going to be a rune onto 2. Oscar trying for the pulverize. It's not bad damage. It's just not enough and not onto the right targets. They're going to lose 4. Zeus gets 2. HFN gets 2. And now they get Roche for free.
Yep, and now they get to move in very efficiently using the meta. And again, it's SG falling into this 4 Protect 1 where their other cores are not really making the plays that they need to. And that was a team fight that they could have decided to walk away from. They didn't have BKB on the Primal Beast. They just have the Blink Dagger on the puck. And KXY getting taken down so early is the main reason why that team fight ends up blowing up in their face, where Wolf Team were just a little bit more ready for that team fight. And now, Of course, B could be done on Sooths. He's looking for his own damage to make that PL's life even harder. Probably Maelstrom Shiva Scribe next on deck, but with the Butterfly and HFN, I don't even think Yuma wants to make a team fight happen just yet. And even though this is going to be a pretty nice timing on his heart, without the Manta, he could very simply just get silenced, get changed up, and then taken down, and then your carry might even look for an even later timing. FCR, though, this looks free. It's even a little bit close. Can the Ember chase him down now?
Here he comes. Sooths did not get off the searing chains there. Realizes LTH is in the neighborhood as well, so he is going to back off of it, and Yuma, that's the exact kind of play that you want from him. Find a pickoff, slow things down a little bit, but it wasn't supposed to be that close.
No, you get a freebie, but you also see how scary a PL game this is. You can die very easily. And then you look at Sooths. He, okay, has to pay off his BKB, but he's just looking in, running out the supports. Maybe he takes Prada down with him, but probably has to do a Remnant jump. One more hit.
And his BKB,
and he's
okay.
out.
He played it to the absolute end of the duration, ET, kind of.
But he's under a ward.
Oh, he is.
And they leave.
Okay. Maybe for a moment, but it felt like they used a lot of their resources to just make sure that they didn't all die to the Ember the first time, so understandable that they don't want to go chasing after him at this point. That did buy a little bit of extra time for your PL, right? The heart's just about done, so that is going to get picked up, but I don't know, ET. I mean, now he's got the heart. That's great. He's looking for the shard next, but still, no BKB, no Manta, right? His teammates don't exactly have defensive itemizations to make up for him not going for his own, so you said it earlier, you can die so easily in this game, and well, right on cue, KXY gets picked off in that other lane, and his defensive itemization is attempting for a Yule Scepter, which, okay, gets you out of the silence, but you could still get set up on by King RD, as we just saw. It just feels like SG, they're trying to now turn the builds a little bit, but it's not going to be fast enough, and it might not be effective enough.
Yeah. And, well, Oscar is going to onslaught, but then turns himself around because he wants to keep his smoke. But without a Blink Dagger, now that you don't have the onslaught, you can't really fight. They're doing a good job of burning Sooth's mana and being a little bit annoying. And the Yules was actually picked up, so now that play is going to be a little bit more difficult for Wolf Team to execute. But still feel like they've got their points right where they want him. HFN's got a bottled up DD run right now. They're just looking to close in on this final tier 2 tower. Even get some D wards going, make it almost impossible for SG to defend the high ground here. Courier's placed, just need to place a sentry, and then should get D warded, but I actually don't have a sentry just yet. And Oscar, well, with his BKB, creep cutting, we're in that same game 1 where we're just trying to avoid HFN as much as possible. As mid, Sooths gets his BKB forced, but there goes your coil, there goes your terrorize.
And then he just Remnant jumps away, so yeah. BKB for coil. You're feeling pretty good about that one. Zeus is now just going to push out some waves. Might want to be careful, though, because he is close to Yuma. Could he burn enough mana in time to actually punish the Ember, though? Not really sure. And with King RD in the area as well, you definitely don't want to try that. Yuma falls back, and we do see a change-up, BT. Now that he has the shard, he is going to go after that Manta, so very, very much delayed from what we were expecting initially when we saw the Yasha pickup, but he's going to get there at some point.
Yeah, and as of right now, he is getting away with it. And, well, found KJ. Doesn't have coil, so he will be able to hop. And, oh, the DD rune, Oscar.
Yeah, he's still just dead anyway. That's unfortunate. And he uses, what was that? His own Manta actually dodges out the Curse Crown stun, so HFN is still fighting. Might want to start looking for a Sunder target, though, because he is a little bit low. Like half HP or so, but he's actually just going to try to fight his way through this, and they know which one's the real Yuma. They're on to the PL. Can he somehow get away from this? Doppel up in 1. Doesn't have TP for 20, though, and his teammates are all getting picked off, so nobody's coming to help him, and HFN just continues the chase, trying to get to the tree line. King RD coming over as well. Doesn't have a lot of mana. They're still searching. They find Yuma here. He's still got 7 seconds. I think he's going to be okay. Doppel. He's got his TP back up here, but he's going to try and fight this, recognizing, hey, HFN kind of walked away, so...
Oh, but the Ember's here.
Maybe I can find a kill, but yeah, with Zeus back in, Yuma's got a Doppel again, trying to do some trickery here, looking for the FCR kill, does manage to get it, but did that cost him his only opportunity to escape? Yes, it did.
Yeah. Just expecting that they were going to find him at the end of the day. Gets 2 kills for his trouble, but that's exactly what you wanted. And man, Oscar, he just gets ripped apart in that fight. He didn't get
Yeah.
to do anything on the Primal Beast. That was real sad. Just walking up into HFN and then just get taken down like that. But now HFN has a BKB to slot out for his troubles. He's really not going to feel too afraid of still standing up in these fights. He does need to get it delivered though, and maybe a
Yeah.
little bit far forward. There's no, or
Pulverize.
there will be a coil.
Terrorize.
Manta
Oh, the
dodge.
Terrorize didn't come through. They still have him, though. Didn't get the Sunder
Yeah.
off. Yeah, drops a sorry to his teammates, and said teammates might get a little bit punished here. KJ is stuck in the river. Do manage to kill him off, so a little bit of a reprieve here for SG. They can now wait out the PL's cooldown on this death timer and regroup once he's back up.
Yeah, that's a mistake for sure. That's where, unfortunately, you wait maybe a second longer. You have your BKB. That doesn't happen. Still great Manta style. Like, you dodged the Terrorize. That was something that actually happened there. But then, of course, you Manta'd. You get Waning Rifted. The Silence comes through. You don't get the Sunder off. You didn't even have your Ember or your Mars there. So, kind of a little bit of a misplay. Because now, well, this is just farm time for Yuma to look for his level 20, look for his Manta style, look to become even scarier. It's where Wolf Team really need to kind of tighten up here and make sure they find the PL, the real PL, the first time around. Because that last fight really only goes so poorly for them because of how long it takes to find out which one is the real Yuma. So they have to be very careful here. And even just starting the fight on the PL is probably going to do themselves a lot of favors. But that's where maybe Sooths is going to have to be the one to find those answers. He's currently got the Gleipnir queued up. I think Shiva's Guard is also quite a good answer for just finding the right one. But saying that maybe it's time for me to get a little bit more locked down to help my team out, but feels like a smoke's coming in here from Wolf Team.
Yep.
And yeah, looking for a pick. This is completely into the dark, though. They have absolutely no wards placed. They need to get down vision right now, and, well, if they jump, they're looking for Prada, but no dust on Sooth, so he might not be able to track this one down. The slight is right, but the Glimmer duration sticks around, and, well, they're going to have to work for it, but they will get him.
Okay. They find the kill. They should, yeah, clean